From this main hub here, if we go back to this button in the bottom center, that takes us back to our normal thermal imaging launch pad. And then we also can access our thermal imaging gallery here, as well as any reports that we have generated with the tool, although I have not. And then we also have some tutorial kind of area information here, or settings area, which we can put in the temperature correction factor. So if you look here, basically you have some baselines for emissivity and things of that nature. So we can change any of these, or change our emissivity and our distance. All of this stuff can be modified to compensate so we get more accurate temperature measurements. Again, in most cases, unless you're very concerned about accuracy, you're probably not going to play around with this too much. Now, again, if you're doing scientific measurements and you need high precision, then you do need to compensate for those values. Image calibration is what you can see here, basically going to compensate for screen anomalies or things of that nature. If there is any kind of burn-in or something of that nature in the screen, that is something that can happen. The camera can also get what kind of looks like a ghosted edges. So the calibration is something that you can perform periodically if you start to get kind of those ghosted edges on your images. The distance unit, of course, is just changing between metric and feet. Temperature units, again, just going to be changing between Kelvin, Celsius, and Fahrenheit. So pretty straightforward there. You can change and then save your settings afterwards. And then you can also tell the app if it is supposed to automatically boot after you plug in the camera. And then, of course, you can also check your firmware there as well. So if you have the current version of firmware, the tool can allow you to update it if it's not the current version of firmware. So again, firmware check right here. And that does apply to not only the TC002C Duo, but also like the TS004 scope and such. So we'll go back here. And again, we got to that down through the Learn More right here in the bottom right corner. So now we'll take you into kind of the heart of the tool, which is by this lens right here in the bottom center. And we're going to go into Enable Thermal Imaging, and that's going to boot up the camera. Now again, the camera always asks you right in the app, do you want to modify any of these parameters right out of the gate before you start doing anything else? We're just going to leave it as is because, again, we're not trying for precision measurements right now. We're just doing a demonstration. Now, you can see we can also get back to the AI detection here if we want to. Otherwise, we have the option for taking photos and taking videos. If we switch, you can see the little play or capture button turns into a red button for video, and it stays a white button for pictures. Additionally, we have a couple other things in the top right corner here you do want to pay attention to. We have the TISR button, which is essentially for enhancing the image. So I'll turn it off. You can see the image gets a little bit less defined and a little more blurry, and we turn it back on, sharpens up a little bit better contrast, right? If we click this other little button in the top right, again, this is where we can shortcut to changing our parameters for distance, emissivity, and temperature of the ambient environment. Again, that's the very top right, this little thermometer kind of icon. Now, as we work through here, we also see we can shortcut to our gallery here if we want to look at any pictures we've taken previously. And then we also have this button right here, these two dots. This allows us to play with if we want to shoot rapid fire sequences of images. That's this little button right here. We have automatic lens. So basically this changes the shutter to automatic to manual. And that's something you probably just want to leave on automatic as a general statement. You can also add audio to some of the video if you want. And then additionally, we have the button here, which takes you into modifying for burst shooting. So again, you can see burst shooting is something we can turn on, and that allows us to shoot a sequence of images all rapidly. Then we also have the watermark, which you can turn on if you would like it to be printed on all of the images that you are using.